Joining me now, Kip Eideberg is Senior Vice President of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. They have a new effort called Equipped to Vote. Kip, welcome back.
Hey, always great to be with you, Julie.
So a little Get Out the Vote campaign? Do tell, sir.
Yeah, look, we've been calling this the manufacturing election since January. Whether anyone's been paying attention, I guess we will find out. But manufacturing voters put President Trump in the White House, right? And they will again decide the election in case anyone at home is keeping score. And so, you know, it's no wonder that President Trump and Vice President Biden are heading to Michigan this week. And I believe Vice President Pence and Senator Kamala Harris are heading to Wisconsin. So that is why we as an association are laser focused on equipping the 2.8 million men and women of the industry, a sizable voting bloc, by the way, Julie, with the information they need to participate in the electoral process and to vote for pro-manufacturing candidates up and down the ballots.
So we're talking about 2.8 million men and women of the industry.
Yeah, that's right. And those 2.8 million men and women have a fairly clear message for candidates this year, and that is that it is far too easy for candidates to talk about what they plan to do to support manufacturing, and far too difficult, it seems, for them to actually do something once they are in office. Equipment manufacturers, those 2.8 million men and women, are tired of cheap campaign slogans and empty promises, Julie. But at the same time, there is an opportunity here for candidates. We have polling that shows that both presidential candidates need to step up their efforts to support the industry. And when it comes to this election, we hope that they will, and this includes both President Trump and Vice President Biden, articulate a plan for how to support and grow manufacturing in America.
So how does equipment become infrastructure?
Well, I'm glad you brought up infrastructure, because to us, it starts with infrastructure. We used to have an infrastructure advantage in this country, Julie. Look, we've never had the lowest labor costs. We've never had the lowest energy costs. We've never had the lowest regulatory costs. But taken as a whole, and once you factor in things like our workforce and our innovation and our infrastructure, we were always the best place to manufacture. Our infrastructure is why you can make a skid steer in North Dakota and an excavator in Tennessee and still get them to markets across the world. So our industry is not only the industry that builds our infrastructure, but we are consumers of infrastructure as well. And allowing our infrastructure advantage to slip away is a tragedy. And if we want a future for equipment manufacturing in this country, we need to rebuild and modernize our infrastructure.
So there's limits to what the association can do with regard to politics, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, our job here is not so much politics as it is policy. We believe that not enough of our elected officials are putting policy ahead of politics or country first. But what our job is as an association, right, is to remind those 2.8 million men and women that their votes matter, to encourage them to get smart about the issues and the values that matter to our industry, be it infrastructure, like we talked about, or trade, or workforce development, or revitalizing rural America, and to encourage them to get out and vote this fall, because at the end of the day, you know, we can complain about lack of progress in Congress on all of these issues, but if we don't hold the candidates and elected officials accountable, you know, then really part of the problem, you know, it's us as well as them.
It's amazing about infrastructure, isn't it? I can't think of another issue that has such unanimous support and a sort of a universal U.S. agreement that it's fallen way behind, that catching up is going to be really expensive, but it's something that needs to get done. And yet it just never gets done. All we get are infrastructure weak jokes that are weak jokes.
Yeah, you know, we used to joke that, you know, there are no Republican potholes, there are no Democrat potholes, right? There's only American potholes, and they do a lot of damage to not just our cars, but to our economy as a whole. And unfortunately, you mentioned it's hard to think of an issue that is more bipartisan than infrastructure, but it looks like Congress, the most they will manage this year is a one-year extension of federal surface transportation programs, and that's obviously very disappointing. You know, I hate to be snarky here, Julie, but the 116th Congress is in good company. The last 3 reauthorizations required, I believe, 27 extensions, adding up to nearly 6 years of delay. So they are in good company, but, you know, I mean, this lack of progress, right, these decisions or lack thereof, they do have a real impact. And right now, our economy is hurting, our industry is hurting as a result of COVID-19, and I can't think of a better way to put Americans back to work than to pass an infrastructure bill. And, you know, if we get a one-year reauthorization, we'll get a little bit of certainty, but boy, is this a missed opportunity for Congress to put the country back to work.
I wonder, though, with all the money that they've spent on relief for coronavirus, if Congress is going to be in a spending mood.
Well, that's a great question, right? It's probably one of the questions that most people in Washington are asking themselves right now. They have spent a lot of money. At the same time, I believe that the Main Street Lending Program, right, which is one of the big spending programs to provide relief for industries suffering as a result of the pandemic, I believe, and my math may be a tad off here, but I believe that they had $75 billion authorized, and they've spent, I think, about $1 billion. So there's still a lot of money left on the table, and I think that there's still an appetite among elected officials to continue to support industries that have been hard hit. And, of course, nothing focuses the mind of a member of Congress or any elected official quite like an election. So, we've got about 65 days left, right? And so they might just realize that maybe we do need to spend a little bit more on infrastructure. But, now's the time, and if not now, when? We passed up countless opportunities to rebuild our infrastructure. Now seems like a pretty good time to do that. And again, it would do a lot of good and put a lot of people back to work.
Kip Eideberg, Senior Vice President of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. Kip, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Julie.